All right, I think it's time to take another look at gold. It's been my opinion for a while that this was probably an intermediate cycle low. Um, the cartel fought tooth and nail to try and keep gold suppressed below 1800, but the FOMC meeting today was a potential trigger event for the currencies to reverse, and if the euro starts to rally and the dollar starts to fall, it's going to be pretty hard for the cartel to keep gold suppressed below 1800. In fact, they were only able to push it below there for 2 days, and then today gold bounced back up. We had options expiration yesterday too, so they were going to close gold at or below 1800 for that. So that wasn't uh, unexpected. Although I will say, judging by comments on the premium site, a lot of people, even though we knew this was going to happen, a lot of people still panicked here, and I saw a lot of people panicking, even though gold really hasn't even come close to taking out this low, and that's what has to happen in order to um, keep this alive as just a bounce in an ongoing intermediate decline. If gold were to drop back below this level here, then I would be wrong, and this is not an intermediate cycle low. But as of right now, um, there's nothing here to suggest other than the successful attacks on silver and mining stocks that this is going to be broken. Gold has held up remarkably well through basically 2 weeks of attacks to try and prevent it from getting back above 1800. But today on the FOMC meeting, the dollar dropped pretty hard, and at that point, I think it became kind of useless for the cartel to continue uh, fighting to keep gold suppressed, and gold did pop back above 1800 and also closed back above its 10-day moving average. Now, um, I fully expect we're going to have another attack in the morning. I think the ECB will try and turn the euro back down. I think the cartel will come in and try and stop the rally in gold. Um, if they fail, and if gold gets some follow through tomorrow, and especially into the end of the week, then I think it's game over. I think the manipulation has been broken, and this will turn out to be an intermediate cycle low. Now, how much traction gold gets during this first daily cycle, assuming that is what is happening here, and it's trying to complete a half cycle low. But probably what's going to determine how much um, momentum gold gets during this first daily cycle will be determined by how deep the daily cycle low in the dollar turns out to be. This is a really long, really stretched daily cycle. It's dropping down into the daily cycle low right now. Like I said, the ECB is going to try and turn the currencies back. They want the euro going down against the dollar, and they want to prop the dollar up. So if they manage to turn this pretty quickly, and we come back up and get another test of this high, or maybe a test of this high, then gold is going to continue to be um, mostly going sideways. A very difficult market to trade. Um, if, however, this gets some real traction, and we get a really deep daily cycle low, maybe something comes down to the um, actually, let me put the Fibonacci's on here. All right, so a normal daily cycle low would be a 38% retracement, and if that's all the further this goes, then there's a pretty decent chance that we're going to retest these highs and maybe come up and test these highs during the second daily cycle. So a 38% retracement may not indicate that the intermediate cycle is topped. A 50% retracement, better odds that the larger intermediate cycle is topped, and any bounce will fail to make higher highs. 61% retracement is almost a lock in the bag that the intermediate cycle would have topped right here, and then when we do get our next bounce, it'll be pretty weak, and then we'll roll over and come down and make it would presumably it would left translate this entire intermediate cycle, and we'd come down and make a lower low. All right, so going back to gold, this evening we're getting a little follow through, but this is kind of meaningless in my opinion. The real attack is going to come probably in the pre-market tomorrow, and maybe during the day. The cartel will try and erase as much of this rally as they can, and then it's just going to depend on whether the bulls take a stand and defend against the attack, and if they can fight it off, and we can get some continued upside tomorrow, another green day, then I think I would be pretty confident in calling this a half cycle low. And then a couple other things to take note of. I've covered this in the past. During the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle, RSI tends to get either deeply overbought or it embeds in the overbought condition. Then that's kind of what has happened here. Gold got overbought here, and then it just kind of stayed overbought, and then it got pretty heavily overbought at the top, and that usually only happens during the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle. In the declining phase, typically what happens is just as soon as price gets overbought, then you'll come back down and you'll make a lower low. And then also what tends to happen during the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle is the opposite of what happens here. Is when price gets oversold, it tends to bounce pretty quickly from that oversold condition, and then price makes another leg up. So both of those conditions are in progress here. Heavily overbought, embedded in the overbought condition. Price bounced quickly from the oversold condition. So I'm leaning pretty heavily towards this being a half cycle low. And despite the success the cartel had attacking silver and mining stocks, trying to help their cause of suppressing gold below 1800, it hasn't really worked with gold. The bulls basically they're picking their battlefield. They're defending in gold, and they basically allowed the manipulation to progress uncontested in silver and the mining stocks, and they're just focusing on trying to break the manipulation in gold. And if they do, then silver and miners will ultimately break free as well, and they'll follow gold higher. And then I'll end with a look at a couple of mining stocks. Franco-Nevada has been the leading gold miner. You can see all of the attacks on the mining stocks and on gold since the top back in May has barely even budged Franco-Nevada. It's basically just consolidating sideways. I tend to think this would not happen if gold was in a bear market, and I posted an article maybe it was last week, on my opinion that gold was not in a bear market. Some of the conditions that were bandied as proof that gold was in a bear market just didn't really fit in my estimation. and this is one of them. The leading gold stock just has resisted any attempts to um, manipulate price lower, and it's just been consolidating sideways. I don't think this would happen if, first off, if gold had another leg lower, or if gold was in a bear market. I don't think this would be happening. And I tend to look at the streamers in general, the royalty companies in general, to kind of maybe get an early indication of where the rest of the sector is going to go. And that chart of Franco-Nevada is a pretty compelling sign that um, metals are going higher. Royal Gold is another royalty company. Again, it has not followed the mining indexes have made lower lows than this. Royal Gold did not make lower lows. It has held considerably above the previous low, so another positive sign. Sandstorm, another royalty company, again, also bucking the trend, did not make a lower low and is closed above the 10-day moving average today. And then finally, Wheaton Precious Metals, a silver royalty company, uh, um, has broken out above its intermediate downtrend line today, again, also holding above the 10-day moving average, and really hasn't given back much despite the fact that the metals have been, silver in particular, has been really punished by the cartel. But the Wheaton, the silver royalty company, has not really followed silver down to lower lows. Another bullish sign, in my opinion.